Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back for another episode of the award-winning Creativity and Compliance with Ronnie Feldman. Welcome back, Ronnie.
Good to be here, Tom. Welcome, everybody.
So, Ronnie, today we're going to take up a topic that I think befuddles many corporate compliance professionals and indeed many corporations, and that's the mood in the middle, or as my colleague Vanessa Rossi would say, the muddle in the middle. How can creativity help with the middle manager's role in compliance?
Yeah, I'll start with a piece of improv philosophy. So if people don't know Learnings Entertainments and me and my background, we started in the world of improvisation, meaning like Whose Line Is It Anyway or SNL. And we came out of the Second City background. Me and my team all have that kind of training. And one of the fundamental tenets of improvisation is make your partner look good and they will make you look good. So you put your focus on your ensemble teammates and your partners, and your whole goal is, I'm going to support everything that they're saying. It's really a wonderful tie into psychological safety. You support everything they're saying, and they're going to support everything that I'm saying. And it sort of makes you feel safe enough to try creative things. So I want to apply that to the mood in the middle is you have to find ways to make your managers look good, because you're asking them essentially to promote an ethical workplace. But if you do this in a boring way, they're going to roll their eyes because they don't want to look bad. If you're not something cool to be associated with, they'll be like, legal tells me we gotta say this, so I'm saying it, blah, blah, blah. And then your message is completely undercut. So I have this kind of separated into three main categories, just for my own, the logical way of thinking of it. One is we have to educate and train leaders separately. So this may seem obvious, but in the same way you have a training and comms roadmap for employees, you have to do this for leadership. And this doesn't have to be long. It's just about their additional responsibilities. Share the code, open door culture, encourage feedback, share ethical dilemmas. Here are the speak up options. Here are the other resources. Here's what to do when those things happen. This could be really short stuff, but put them on a regimen so they are educated about their additional responsibilities and how important they are in creating this culture of ethics compliance. And obviously that's better if it's short, fun, and frequent instead of once a year, long and boring. So you have a training and comms roadmap for leaders. Make them feel important. Before I go to 2 and 3, thoughts or questions about that?
So what's the relationship, or how can, let me maybe step back, that most employees want to report to their direct manager, which is typically a middle manager. It's not a CEO or someone higher up in the organization. So how can we facilitate that? But what I hear from middle managers is something you said, there's a difference in training. And how do we train those middle managers to not only have an active culture of listening, but to know what to do with the information once it comes in? Is there a way creativity can help the middle manager?
Well, absolutely. Creativity has a role in all of these functions. One of my peeves is one of the things that's interesting about my business, because we come from a weird comedy angle, is I get to ask all these questions. Tell me about your program. Walk me through it. And what most of them say, depending on their maturity level, is, we have our annual training and we do that every year or every other year, and we have our onboarding, and maybe we have a compliance week, and every quarter we get time on the newsletter. And then, this year we're going to have an ethics and Baptism program. And then this year we're actually going to focus on leadership. It's always sort of like the real mature programs that get to the leadership point. And it should be where we start. You put your first training dollars on educating leaders at all levels. This is your additional responsibility. And of course, you want that training to be interesting. I'm just about to kick off a project with a big insurance company, and we're creating these little lunch and learn manager toolkits. The first is we're creating an online resource for leaders. So they already have it listed out, but it's a 20-page PDF So we're turning that into an interactive thing that's got a little bit of fun associated with it. So there's an online resource that sort of walks people through, if this happens, here's your resources. If this happens, here's where you can go. If this happens, here's where you can go. So it's a little bit of a click and reveal and a little bit of a decision tree. And then we're creating, at least for this company, they're taking some of our videos, which are fun, and pairing that with a manager toolkit, which is something that they can then cascade forward. Oh, I'm jumping ahead to my points 2 and 3, but it doesn't matter. Yes, it can be fun. The main thing is to put your some training dollars on what these leaders need to do, and then remind them regularly, just like you would an employee. And I would do that first. And then, because it's the most important thing, right? As you say, everybody has their relationship, particularly in big companies, with their manager. You ever heard people say our corporate culture is good or our corporate culture is bad or whatever? It's always sort of me a little bit BS, because if you have a good boss and you love your boss and your team, you have a great culture. And if you have a bad boss and you don't get along with the team, you have a terrible culture. In other words, your company is made up of thousands of little micro cultures. So we have to do our best to creatively engage managers at every level. That's how you build a culture. I feel like I'm on a little bit of a rant, but did you have more reactions?
Actually, I was going to say you're on a little bit of a roll.
Rant and roll. So part 2 of this it's the KISS strategy. Keep it short and simple. You have to make it really easy once you've educated these managers on their additional responsibilities to then champion these issues on your behalf or on the company's behalf. So make policies simple and easy to find, and then pair a fun thing with an important thing and give it to a leader. And you could require or ask them voluntarily, but I would say start with maybe a quarterly requirement to share this with your team in the regular course of business. This could be what I would call a manager toolkit, which sounds very complicated and intimidating, but it could literally be some fun thing, a song, a story, a video about a topic, and some talking points that can take 5 minutes. And you could say, play it Monday morning during your department Zoom call. Or you could say, if your people are back in the office, have a 30-minute lunch and learn. Bring food. You said that in one of your other podcasts. Bring food, give them something interesting to share, have them host a discussion, and then give them a little, so it's like a slide with questions, some fun stimulus, and a slide for them to help so that they know how to respond. That's it. You got to make it really easy. I'll remind you that the idea of sharing a video over Zoom or Teams is really easy. So if you have a 60-second commercial for compliance that has some entertainment value, they'll happily share that to kick off their department meeting. And if it's about the code or speak up or the importance of compliance or a particular policy, great. It just gives them something to constantly infuse compliance into the flow of business. And the best way to do that is to be fun and interesting and make it simple and easy for them to deploy.
So I really like the simple and easy part. How about I tried to articulate a little bit earlier, there's a couple of different functions for middle managers. One is to listen and to be that intake person. But a second is to get it to the right person. Now, that could be perhaps as easy as picking up the phone and calling compliance. It could be sending an email around compliance or to the compliance function. But I really like your thought, though, about continuous reminders after the training, because I don't think we think about those reminders, particularly in this context. We might remind an employee with a short, engaging something, but I really like that idea of reminders. Can that same training strategy be used for the middle manager, either turning the other way and speaking up or communicating to whoever they need to once the information's come to them?
Yeah, absolutely. If you just think about learning theory or behavioral science in general, Short, fun, and frequent. Nudge is a far more effective way to influence behavior than the analogy that we've used in the past is the way compliance does its training is a snake swallowing a warthog. We feed them this huge thing and then it adjusts for the course of the year. It's not a particularly good way for humans to learn things. So yes, specifically about leadership, that has its own track, little nudges about how important they are, right? And little nudges about here's where the policies are. Make sure you're talking about ethical dilemmas. Make sure you're talking about winning business the right way. Make sure you're listening for these problems. Make sure to don't investigate on your own. Escalate and get support. We've got your back, right? Leaders, we've got your back. So that should be happening. And then point two is really easy for them to deploy these things so that they can be constantly reinforcing it to their employees, right? So you can have your own training comms roadmap for compliance and use marketing and comms to help you with that. But the more we can get integrated into the business, we talked in a different episode about the importance of crowdsourcing compliance, getting leaders to feel part of something and to champion. People are very proud of being a leader. So you want to give them something interesting, simple, and easy to share. And they will gladly say, yeah, I'm one of the good guys and I want my team to be part of the good guys. So I'm going to share this, but they won't do it if it's boring. That's when you get the eye roll and that undercuts everything. So that's why boring is the death of all these initiatives. It doesn't have to be funny, but you have to find some interesting and I would say entertainment infused stimulus and they'll gladly share it. The third thing on my list is just to reward. You have to reward these leaders. And the most common way I hear interaction with leadership is your department not every employee has finished their compliance training. If you don't get it, send out another threat that if your department doesn't finish, they're going to lose their bonus or whatever. It's all stick. We should turn this into reward, more carrot than stick. Reward departments for finishing their compliance training earlier. Interview leaders, the ones who get done, maybe they get to be part of this little podcast show idea that you keep promoting, the idea of an internal podcast about the importance of compliance. Get leaders involved and reward them by asking them to participate and to give them face time. You can reward them with culture surveys, which departments have the best cultures, things like that. You got to collect information. You want to find ways to reward leaders for doing the right thing. So we educate them, make it easy for them to deploy information, and we reward them for doing well and celebrate their successes. That's how you improve the mood at the middle, right? Listen to their concerns, involve them, make it really easy for them to do the right thing. Make your partner look good, they will make you look good.
I don't think I give advertisements in the middle of these podcasts, but if you're listening to this podcast, call Ronnie. This is the best way I have heard to get middle managers trained up and reminded up in their incredibly important job. This is one of the most unique, it's not a unique strategy, but it's a strategy we all have to do in compliance. And it's some of the most unique tactics you can come across. For a mid-roll advertisement, actually this is toward the end, but what the heck? This is great, Ronnie. And if you're listening to this podcast, call Ronnie and talk to him about this because you need this tactic to supplement whatever else you may be doing. So that's the end of my rant.
I appreciate it. You're so kind. You've always been really good to me and our business, and I appreciate it. And I should mention, Tom, you and I have become friends over the years, and you're not asking for us to pay you like a lot of money for advertisements or stuff like that. So it's really appreciative of your time and these kind words. I take it to heart. I appreciate you so much. I will leave the audience with one other thought, which didn't occur to me to tie into the subject, but it does make sense. Like, we do teach improvisation to compliance people. We teach the skills of an improviser. And it occurs to me that when we originally started teaching improvisation, we were doing mostly for leadership training about being better listeners, better collaborators, having better communication skills, having better leadership instincts in terms of their verbal and physical communication style. There's a really great tie into improvisation and psychological safety and listen up culture. So as another way of reward, if this is interesting to people, is take your best leaders, and if there's any gathering of leaders in general, or if there's a particular department, put them through into some improv training. And it is a good way to support good tactical listening skills. And then improv is a really fun way to reinforce those important soft leadership and communication skills.
Great. Unfortunately, we're at the end of our time for this episode, Ronnie. So I can't wait to see what we come up with for next time.
All right. Thanks again, man. I appreciate you. Thanks, everybody.
Compliance Podcast Network. Start your mornings with daily compliance news, quick, sharp updates on the top compliance and ethics stories in under 5 minutes every morning in Compliance Podcast Network. Because compliance never sleeps. Need practical advice fast? Check out Compliance Tip of the Day. One actionable idea to level up your program. Short and sweet. Every day on Compliance Podcast Network. Got 10 minutes? We've got the week's top 10 stories. 10 for 10 brings you the big compliance headlines. Fast, fun, and focused. Every Saturday on Compliance Podcast Network. And don't miss the Sunday Book Review, where compliance meets culture through must-read books and big ideas every Sunday in Compliance Podcast Network. Whether you're in the office, on a walk, or commuting, stay smart, stay ethical, stay tuned. Only on the Compliance Podcast Network. Available wherever you listen to podcasts.